Dear Korea, I visited Seoul and surroundings in 2019, and I was struck by its beauty, followed by the warmth I felt from people. Either I was on stage or all these brief meetings while signing my books. Shortly after my trip to Seoul, I had plans for Germany, for Mexico, but then a certain virus made its entrance and turned the whole world upside down. I haven't met a single reader but my own two brothers since then. On the other hand, both my big brothers love my writing, so I'm all right after all. I am the guy in the middle, by the way. The photo was taken a few years ago. I would have loved to participate in 2021 Seoul International Book Fair, but things are what they are. Preparing this greeting to you all, I asked for questions for me to answer. I got some. My 15-year-old son printed them out and put them in a bowl just here to my right. I am ready. Are you? Here we go. Question number one. As far as I know, you are currently enjoying the life of countryside. Is your red Volvo tractor working right? Are the chicken growing well? Is there any change in your daily life these days? Question number one. Actually, it was three questions in one go. Let's start with the chicken. They became like family members. When the fox took these guys' mother, I raised them in-house. The only downside is that chicken never learn where to poop and not. Once grown up, they had to move to the poultry house for logical reasons. All in all, I had around 8 hens and 2 roosters, all of them named after famous people as a tribute. One of the hen was named after the German Chancellor Angela Merkel. One of the roosters was named after former General Secretary of United Nations Ban Ki-moon. But Ban Ki-moon changed in personality. He became hostile. He felt threatened by the other rooster. He even felt threatened by my son, starting to attack him with his claws. It was kind of scary. He really wanted to stay king of the poultry house. It was sad, but I had no other choice but to take him away. However, I couldn't decapitate Ban Ki moon, so I renamed him shortly before. Therefore, Donald Trump is no longer with us in the poultry house. Sadly, a little bit later, Donald was accompanied by all the others. One night, I forgot to close the door to the poultry house. The fox came and he took them all. Angela Merkel, Whitney Houston, Queen Elizabeth, Elvis Presley, all gone. When it comes to my red Volvo 1970 tractor, yes, thank you. The last I heard from it, It was in good shape. It's leaking oil, though, but to be honest, who wouldn't, being more than 50 years old? However, I sold it recently to a friend, and I sold it along with the whole farm on the countryside. Now I live in Stockholm, the capital of Sweden. No chicken, no tractor, plenty of water though, and home delivery pizza. But it feels fine. We all have this one single life, only changes are good. Next question. Question number 2. This time you've come back to us with revenge. Yeah, that is what my new novel is about. Is there a particular reason why you picked this theme, revenge? Well, yes, there is. There is nothing more logical and yet destructive in the concept of revenge. If I step on your toe, you will step on my foot, followed by me stepping on the whole of you, followed by you throwing a hand grenade after me. Revenge is an escalating disease. It never ends. But if you wish, the revenge theme also has a big portion of humor in itself. And humor is my cup of tea, alongside with my concern about the state of the world. Next question. Here it is. What encourages you to keep your humor? How can we get humorous in our daily life? When I was a kid, my father used to turn off the television set right after the evening news. The world is all shit, he would say. Now and again, he changed his phrasing into, it makes you want to cry. I remember that from my childhood, remembering thinking, crying about it all, how could that possibly help? It is true that we all should be troubled by the state of the world, by black and white opinions that take the place of fact. My father wanted to cry. I prefer to laugh. The result is all the same, isn't it? A laughter is a way to deal with it all. What you could do then in your daily life? Well, try your best to find a reason to give yourself a smile. I think it's not only possible but proper to smile at the absurdities around us before we deal with them all. Question time. Ooh, a long one. The CEO in your new book reminds me of you working as a journalist and then running a media consulting company. Have you ever planned this kind of revenge company? How did you get this idea of the main character? Ooh, from where do I get my ideas? Again, I just look around. I guess I register. I am afraid that my invented revenge consulting company, I'm afraid that would work also in real life. But to me, revenge is something that should stay on the planning table as therapy. If you have a terrible neighbor, it could really help sitting, by your kitchen table, looking out through the window, inventing all the bad things that should happen to him or her, but then it must stay there. Never take it any further. I told you already, the inner logic of revenge is that bad becomes worse, becomes disastrous. Revenge as self therapy? Yes. Revenge as revenge? No. How did you how did you find this artist, Irma Stan, who wasn't really familiar with us? Irma was there all the time. I just didn't see her from the beginning. One could say that South Africa and Cape Town is my second home. My best friend Toby lives there under a lemon tree. My godson Linus lives there under a banana tree, I believe. And Irma Stern lived there. I visited I visited the Irma Stern Museum many times, and yet when I was looking for an artist that could build a bridge for me between Africa and the terrible events in Germany of the 1930s, I didn't immediately see her. Once I did, it all became so obvious to me. She was a truly great artist, and I am proud to introduce her to Korea. Here, for example, a Kosa woman to the left, the eternal child to the right. Expressionism is very often colorful, joyful at a glance, but it also expresses the inner feelings of the subject: sadness, despair, hope, whatever. This is how I wish you to approach my books. That is, allow yourself to enjoy my writings, but don't stop looking for what might be there behind the lines. This one he locked up really well. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Dear son, what would it be if you can request one thing to the revenge company in your novel? Hmm. Well, having said that revenge is a bad thing, maybe I would be ready to pay a lot if it only were possible to punish world leaders that obviously lie, that refuse to rely on science, that don't know how to behave. I look forward to the return of general decency. May decency and the truth prevail. Under this COVID-19, we've all been through a lot of things around the world. What kind of revenge can we do to this coronavirus? I would say it's not the virus in itself to blame. It's mankind. Mankind sucks. Sorry. Revenging mankind? Not a good idea. That would end it all. Just let us try to behave, as I said, and see where it takes us all. You are such a page turner book author. If you don't mind, I would like to ask if there is a particular part that you want readers to take some time and think deeply in the book. Such a hard question. I am afraid I have to repeat myself. What I want you to do is to read my books with a smile, with a sense of hope coming to you. Then, when you're done, please give the state of the world an extra thought. Then again, act in accordance with your conscience. Life is all about life is all about feeling good and doing some good. It's a win-win situation. By doing some good, you will automatically feel better. What book impressed you the most recently? Can you please recommend us a book? Oh, I hate recommending books. How a text influences you is so much dependent on who you are, where you are in life. It's like a good wine. Combined with the right food and the right company, the very same wine tastes different. Having said that, you might think I am a man of surprises. Right now, I am reading the 13th century Persian poet Rumi. And that might be my advice to you. Not necessarily Rumi. I don't even know if he is translated into Korean, but think outside the box. Embrace literature that you thought wasn't for you. Because good literature is good, no matter of gender. This Rumi is in Swedish, translated from Latin. I cannot give it justice by translating anything of it into English and certainly not into Korean. But believe me, Rumi's poetry might be 800 years old and yet is so fresh and up to date. It, it all reminds me of the Korean journalist that flew all the way from Seoul to Sweden to meet me for an interview a few years ago. One of his questions was, "Do you think your humor is especially Swedish?" I remember answering, "Didn't you just tell me that I was a #1 bestseller author in Korea? Are we then really that different one from another?" Several years later, when I went to Seoul and met the people from my editorial house for the first time, I realized that Koreans can be as good in hugging as myself. I am a hugger. If I like somebody, I like to hug him or her. The fact that hugging is a global thing fills me with hope. Is there your own secret that you combine reality and fiction? I have been thinking about that. To what degree does the author has his or her freedom in his in this sense. I mix reality and fiction wildly. However, to me, it is important that nothing must be true in my novels. Everything must be credible and therefore true in a wider sense. Don't believe everything I write, but please do believe the deeper meaning of it. Do I mix reality with fiction too much? I hope not, but I leave the decision to you. In this new novel, there is a war for paintings instead of a nuclear bomb, as in earlier books. What make you this change? Hmm. The nuclear bomb might be the end of the world. One nuclear bomb going off leads to another, right? Like revenge. Lack of freedom of speech, lack of freedom of art might be the same. It'll kill us all. It just goes slower than the bomb. If we are no longer allowed to express ourselves the way we wish, if the authorities are allowed to regulate and limit our thinkings, then very soon everything is over. Did I just ruin your day? Next question. You always keep good balance between serious background and witty episodes. Thank you. What is the secret of this balance? Mm, thank you again. But that would be my secret. If you think I managed to keep the balance, then you are my reader. In the final steps of each and one of my manuscripts, I always work extra hard on keeping that balance, not to be too obvious, not to be too blurry, but to catch things the way they are, according to me, that is. I believe that you definitely do a lot of research when writing. May I ask if your writing process? Well, I used to describe my writing process as a bus trip. I know very early where to start on my next ride. I know the different bus stops on the way, and I know where the journey will end. Then I start the very writing. Then, only then, I get to know my different characters better on the way, so to speak. My characters come to life. That leads to different detours. Um, but at the end of the day, I am always kind of back on track. I would say that the most interesting part of my writing process is the relationship between me and the characters that I've created. They don't exist, and yet they are so vivid, so full of life, and they challenge me all the time. I think I have the most interesting job on earth. Last question. Are we allowed to hear about your next book? Still no spoiler? Ooh, top secret, right? I am about to finish it right now. My next novel to you. It's another road trip, one could say. It is about an intelligent female doomsday prophet meeting a warm-hearted, very stupid man. The two of them together attack our world so full of corruption. corruption is the main theme for my next novel. And I think it feels like it will be the best one, if you ask me. You have to wait for it, though, a year or two. It's well worth waiting for. No more questions. Thank you for meeting me this way. I wish you all a great stay at the Seoul International Book Fair, and I look forward to meet you all in real life very soon. You're the best. I am quite good too. I love you all.